So far, CM, the Sungai Pinang flood mitigation project, according to YD Japdev, you only managed to complete the first phase.
First phase was completed
in the 90s,
in
right?
the 90s.
So there should be a continuation.
There should be, but it never went beyond the phase one. Only in the last few years, the state government during our time undertook the resettlement of the squatters along the alignment, and that had been completed except for maybe we still have on our hand 2 or 3 cases appealing for additional time. Since the project timeline is been delayed, we also allowed more time for squatter to move out, and we did not really press. But as soon as federal government or JPS indicate that the project is awarded, then of course we will do the necessary to clear all the remaining few not many, 2 or 3 out of 100 over that we resolved.
So meaning for Sungai Pinang flood mitigation projects, how many phases are there actually?
There should be more than two phases. In fact, the second phase will only bring us up to the Scotland Road Bridge. So they are still the tributaries right up to Sungai Dondang, Sungai Aitan, Sungai Aiputeh. Depending on the amount of money you want to spend, you may choose to go upstream to widen, to increase the bund.
In all, CM, how much?
It should be about 600 over million
to settle.
But we are getting another 150 million, which we are happy enough to implement the phase 2. Naturally, we think that it will be approved since the former CM is now in the ministry.
So many
we must look at it in a broader sense, not to have too high a hope, because Saudara Lim Guan Ling also already shared the challenges in the finance ministry, the national debt. He got many challenges on his plate. So I think if he can follow through with the approval, I think it should be, because it has been delayed for 18 years, this project. So if he can give the okay for the tender to be awarded, he will be very appreciative. But if not, then whether we should wait or whether we should look at state resources to continue with the project.
So is the 150 million part of the 600 million that you mentioned?
Yes.
Part of it. So what are the works needed?
For the 150 million, they will build a barrage somewhere around this PPR Sungai Pinang.
PPR, okay.
A barrage should be built at the river mouth.
Okay.
But in this case, it is built further inland, because at the river mouth, it will be so wide and the cost will be very big. So I think the design would see a barrage built further inland so that the width is not so big, to save on cost. There will be pump houses to pump the water. There will be retention pond. River will be deepened. Bund will be raised, and collector drain to be built along the river. So these are the components of the job.
So you believe that once this is done, so it will at least alleviate?
Elevate, we can only mitigate. We can only elevate. That's why
cannot say that.
You can say there will be no flood, because any design can only cater to certain capacity. This container can only take, let's say, 250 ml. Beyond this, so this is a simple illustration of any flood mitigation project. It is designed to carry a certain capacity. Beyond that, it will still flood.
So when is the expected completion date for all this?
3 to 3.5 years. I mean, for Sungai Pinang.
Sungai Pinang, just now.
For our package, I think also we are looking at 2 to 3 years.
Your package meaning?
The 150 million 9 projects.
Okay, that one is between 3 and 3.5 years.
2.5, 3 years.
That's your package. Then the Sungai Pinang one also same
3 to 3.5 years.
Okay, so we believe that by 20...
If all these projects can be completed in my term, I'm very happy.
Okay.
And on top of that, get approval for other packages.
Okay.
Just construction takes time, and for me, I think it's important to secure the approval, secure the funding. Whereas, I mean, once it's started, I think the technical people should ensure.
So, meaning you believe that once Sungai Pinang one is resolved, so other places won't be affected that much, right?
It will cater to a big catchment area. Principally, P. Ramlee area, Kampong Makam, all this will be hopefully resolved. And upstream, it has impact to the upstream also because 6 tributary discharge to Sungai Pinang. So if Sungai Pinang is cleared, the tributary can discharge better into Sungai Pinang. Sungai Pinang would have a bigger carrying capacity, and if there is a barrage, backflow from the sea, high tide will not flow inland. Water should be flowing out, yes, but during high tide, seawater will be brought inland. So when it coincides with a heavy downpour, here water needs to be discharged to the sea, but we have to close the barrage. Because high tide brings in seawater, and seawater is normally very stronger than those from the river. So
that's the main cause lah.
It will backflow back to the upstream. That's why sometimes Aitam, Parachubong can be flooded because of high tide pushes the water back into the land inland. But with the barrage, you will need the barrage will stop the seawater from coming in. But meanwhile, the water is still being discharged out. Then you need pump to pump the water out.
Many hill slope developments have taken shape, especially in Tanjung Bunga area. So it has drawn concerns from environmental activists. So what's your say on this?
I think the current state government had already said very strongly that we will not change the current tight guideline of restricting development beyond 76 or 250 feet, although national guidelines allow up to 500 feet. And of course the class 3 and class 4 slope, which are of more concern than the 76, but the guidelines combine the two, which is very restrictive in the sense if it is fully compliant, it is very restrictive. It will take away a lot of hill lands from being developed. So it's quite a restrictive guidelines. Because this guideline only came into place in the structural plan approved in 2007. They were already approval prior to this date, which have to continue. If they have started submitting before this date, you would not be able to stop abruptly. That's why under this category there are many projects approved that goes beyond this restriction. So probably I would get the council to brief me how much lands are still left that is restricted by these guidelines. So if the guideline is still in place, then Penang people must be confronted with the fact that you cannot go up. There would not be any more development beyond this line, and land can only grow, get more expensive. The remaining one will be less and less, and if there's no reclamation, then what holds for the future of Penang Island?
So gentrification is another issue in Georgetown, with foreigners snapping up the properties within the heritage zone. So CM, any move to curb all this?
I think figures have shown that foreign ownership is about 3 or 4%. The actual figure, I need to look at the report. Of course, other than the World Heritage Site, there are also foreign ownership of houses outside World Heritage Site. Prior to interest in our heritage building, I think right at the time of inscription, there were a few hundred houses in need for refurbishment, and there were several instances that houses collapsed during storms and all that. But today, if you look at the heritage site, I think by and large there are very few dilap houses left because of the interest in heritage property. The owner now had greater appreciation of the value of
so meaning
property.
the state is looking at the issue in a positive light, right?
For me, I think my personal stand is save the houses, save the building first. Because if owners are not willing to spend, they would just leave it there to rot. And there are many houses went because of neglect. But when they are interested, they are buyers who want to convert it, we should save the building and negotiate on the use later after that.
Okay.
Of course, the market forces can only allow certain number of budget hotels, certain number of cafe. Beyond that, the business won't survive, and anyone won't be foolish to use the building for that purpose if there is no demand for it. So that's why sometimes we see some category of business does not last very long because market demand. So of course, after saving the building, we need to look at the use, because Georgetown inscription is based on the three outstanding universal value. One is, of course, to be inhabited by residents. That with residents, then there is this local culture, way of life, and all that. So why last time we took very severe action against shiftless farming, because shiftless farming drive local residents away from the premise. Also, if houses are inhabited by birds and not human beings, then we lose a very important feature of the or one of the outstanding universal value.
So meaning state government, what are the moves that you'll implement to stop gentrification, things like that?
I think the special area zone has demarcated the type of use of this building according to precinct to the zone. But this also create problem in that all budget hotel will be clustered into one area. Certain trade will be in another area. So there may be some review to relook at whether it is good for the future growth of Penang.